Okay, we are live.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our next episode of COVID Surviving COVID. This is a little bit of an information broadcast to help all those that are either positive, all those that are around family members that are positive, or those that have lost someone. May all of their souls rest in peace. I've lost several close relatives, so this is a very important program for me, and I believe it may be helpful for some of you that might have relatives that might be going through, this illness right now. Please take this time to listen to our guest speaker. She's going to give us her story, and then we'll have some questions for her. Please welcome our guest. She's going to explain to us her story now. Guest, please explain to everyone your story of when you contracted COVID and what you've done so far that has helped you heal to survive.
Okay, I contacted COVID the early part of April. It was not something I was thinking on, but I always try to take precautions since it started. So it was a day, like a Thursday, I went to work and I started feeling like achy and like malaria symptoms, but I was not having any temperature. So then I said, okay, don't go to work the Friday. The Friday I stayed home, but I was still feeling sick. The Saturday I woke up and I started feeling like shortness of breath. So I get concerned and I called my doctor and said, that was the Saturday. I called my doctor and explained my symptoms to the doctor, and the doctor told me to isolate myself because the way I was feeling, and I wanted to do laundry, and I went to the washing machine, I couldn't breathe. So I told my kids, I said I couldn't breathe, and I went. And after I called the doctor, I said, isolate yourself, stay away from the family, the rest of the family, which I did. The Monday, I went for the test, and Wednesday, they called me and told me I was positive. But I didn't have no temperature all during that time, only the body ache. But then before I could get a result, I started drinking maybe ginger. I will boil ginger, garlic, turmeric, and lemon or lime. And that's what I was drinking. I was drinking vitamin C. It was like my food. It was almost every hour I was drinking vitamin C. So I continued drinking that. I stayed home. I didn't go to work. I isolated myself, and I told the children, I said, hey, don't come around me because now they say I'm positive. So I got to stay away from myself. But the symptoms, everybody have different symptoms. Mine, it continued with like weakness. I was having weakness later on, and then I was still having a little bit shortness of breath. But I didn't stop taking those things I was taking. I called and they told me that they don't have no medication for it. I even called the New Jersey Health, and they told me they don't have any medication. So I said, okay, this one I just have to treat myself. So that's what I did. I continued taking those things until I think after a month, I stayed off from work. I isolated myself. I stayed off from work. After a month, then because I was still having the shortness of breath, and I called my doctor again, and he said, okay, we're going to give you something for cough. I said, but then I don't want anything for cough because I was not coughing. I didn't have no cough. So after I talked to them, then they said, okay, they sent medication for me for the cough. But still, I was not feeling 100% myself. So then after a week or two, then I call another like patient first, and I explain all my symptoms to them. Then they say, okay, we're going to give you antibiotic. So they gave me the antibiotic and I started taking it. And then that's when I started feeling, and I would go for a walk, I would try to exercise. Because they told me, from what I could hear, they say you can't stay in bed, which I stopped staying in bed. I don't stay in bed. I would get up and go around and walk around for like maybe for an hour or half an hour. Because when I started going for walk, I couldn't even go maybe 15 minutes. I started feeling tired. But then gradually I started going, and so out half an hour and then 1 hour. That's how I beat the COVID.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. One of the questions I have is, so at no point did you go to the emergency room?
Not for COVID. I didn't go to the emergency room for the COVID. Before, let's say 3 weeks, because I have high blood pressure. 3 weeks before I got sick, I went to the emergency room for my high blood pressure, and they admitted me. But it was nothing pertaining to COVID. But for the COVID, I never went to the emergency room. After they told me I was positive, I just started treating myself. That's all I did.
Okay, thank you. So one of your underlying conditions was high blood pressure, and you were able to maintain your blood pressure while you were going through the symptoms and the illness of COVID.
Yes, I did. Because I was taking my regular medication for my high blood pressure, and maybe with the garlic and all those things I was taking, like maybe the garlic, I boiled garlic and ginger and turmeric and lemon. I was drinking that more the same way I was drinking it. I was drinking those concoction, I call it. I drink it regularly.
Okay, good. So did you have your temperature? Were you taking your temperature regularly to find out whether your temperature was too high, or were you just continuously just keeping up with the regimen that you had already set up?
No, I was checking my temperature every day, twice a day. And I didn't have any temp all that time. No temperature. So that's why when people say they're talking about checking your temperature before going places, if they want to open in different places, check your temperature before. Temperature don't tell you that you have it. It's because everybody have different symptoms. I didn't have any temperature at all. All the time they say I was positive. I never have any temperature.
So that is very important. So the COVID is basically attacking everyone's immune system in a different way.
In a different way.
Yeah. So it depends on if you're somebody that's likely to get temperatures when you're ill, or it may attack some of your underlying symptoms. So everyone's condition when you have COVID is completely different from someone else. So that's definitely very important. Thank you for pointing that out, that you were not showing any symptoms, any high temperature symptoms.
No temperature, no.
For the shortness of breath, how did you manage? My father had passed away, definitely for the loss of oxygen, which caused his organs to fail. How did you manage to make it through without having oxygen on hand?
Okay, I check my pulse ox, because with my field, I have the pulse ox machine. So I was checking my pulse ox, and my pulse ox never went down below 95. It will stay maybe between 95 to 100. So I never have any shortness of breath. I have shortness of breath, but my oxygen level didn't drop.
Okay, awesome. So that that's very good that you kept track of your pulse and you kept track of your oxygen levels, making it easier for you to keep track of how well you were recovering.
Yes.
As far as the walks, when you were outside, were you covered? Did you have your face mask on? Did you have any other equipment with you that helped you with your walks?
I will have my face mask all the time I go out. That's what I say. When I start going out newly, I will walk for like maybe 15 minutes, then having shortness of breath, and I will turn around and come back. But gradually, and the breathing treatment, no neb treatment, the breathing machine that you can blow and then you can able to figure out the length of your breath. I was using that too to know how far I could breathe. I used that, and then for the starting point, I couldn't do much, but then gradually I started doing it more, and I was doing it more frequently. All those things help.
Thank you. Now we are so accustomed to home remedies being from, native countries. Now, when you were boiling the ginger, the turmeric, the lime, were you measuring those ingredients, or were you just using it, eye measurements like how we usually cook, in order to know exactly what you were consuming daily?
No, we don't measure. That's the bad part about our own thing. We don't measure. So I didn't measure anything. I was just adding things. I didn't measure anything. But I make sure when I'm drinking it, I have a particular teacup that I will use. So I don't, because those things, even
Okay.
with me, I have maybe another underlying problem. I got to
Right.
be careful with the ginger and all those things. So that
Exactly.
particular cup, that's why I always drink. I don't drink more than that at each time when I drink it.
Okay.
Mm.
So the another question, the antibiotic that was given to you. So initially, the doctors and NJ Health Administration, everyone said there was no medication, but you were able to get medication, antibiotics later on that helped you fight COVID. Would you be able to explain just a little bit about the antibiotics?
Yes, even the time they gave me the antibiotic, that was the time after I stayed home and did the isolation. I went again and did another test, and they said I was negative. That was the second test I did. They told me I was negative, but I was still having the shortness of breath. That's the time I called for a patient first, and then they gave me the antibiotic. So not during the time they say it was active.
So it was after the time that you basically have already fought the
Yes,
disease on
yes,
your own.
yes. What they told me, they said if I go for the test and it's negative, then maybe it's something like maybe pneumonia. So they will have to. That's the time they give me the antibiotic. They say, okay, if it's pneumonia, the antibiotic will clear it up.
Okay. Okay, good. So at least you were able to get the disease out of your system, and then they were able to treat the other conditions that COVID brought with it, like the pneumonia.
Yes, that's what they're saying. That's
Okay.
what they're saying, because they themselves, they don't know. They were just assuming or guessing, I should say.
Okay. Right. It was the early stages. Not a lot was already known about the disease.
No.
So how were you able to continue walking? I know the first few times you went out, it was hard for you to walk without being exhausted. How were you able to continue to gain your strength?
I just continue doing things. Sometimes I get up and in the morning, first thing I start doing, maybe cleaning or doing something to keep myself active. And then going for work, then I will just maybe increase my distance every day when I go out.
Okay, thank you. How did your family handle this? I know for us, when our dad was giving us all of his symptoms, you were like, oh my God, you have COVID. You need to go to the hospital. We need to try to get you medication. But we were able to stay calm, though he wasn't forthcoming with too much information. How was the family able to stay away, knowing how we are? We always want to be right there taking care of our loved ones. How was the family able to actually stay away so they wouldn't as well get infected?
I explained to them that it's positive. The moment I told them it's positive, they say, okay, you have to stay in your room, and then they stay away from me because I make sure that they don't come around me. Even they want to come around me, I say, no, don't. If you want to give me my food, just put it somewhere there, I will get it. But I make sure they don't come around me. I stay away from them, they stay away from me. Because we have to be safe, because if everybody end up with it, we don't know who immune system going to handle it or who not going to handle it. So
Exactly.
that was my fear. And my main fear was my patient I was taking care of, because she's already compromised. She's a child and compromised. So I was really, really, really scared for her not to end up with it.
Okay, well, we thank God that you definitely were able to survive and come and tell us your story today. One of the biggest things for COVID has been the major losses that we've had within the Sierra Leonean community. Definitely one of the things that the CDC is recommending is washing your hands for a minimum of 20 seconds. Making sure you have face coverings, whether it's a cloth or the surgical mask or the N95, the KN95 mask. Making sure that you are definitely staying 6 feet apart from people and not gathering large crowds. I know currently Black Lives Matter protests are happening across the nation. We urge everyone to still continue to be safe, still continue to stay in distances apart from everyone, and continue to wear face coverings. One of the last questions I have for you, ma'am, is though you had body aches, did that stop at any point, the body aches and the feeling of weakness at any point while you were self-medicating and just trying to figure out how to get rid of this disease? Did the body aches stop and the weakness? At any point one day, did you feel better, or was it continuous weakness and continuous body aches?
Okay, what I forget to say, when I called the doctor the Saturday, and they told me to take Tylenol for the body ache. I took Tylenol for like maybe 2 or 3 days, and that was it. And then it stopped. I didn't have the body ache anymore. Even before I went for the test, or before the results came, I stopped taking the Tylenol. And the shortness of breath was gone, but it was still lingering. That didn't go completely. It was still lingering until I got the antibiotic. That's when it went completely.
Good. Thank you. Thank you so much. What can you advise others within the nation or within New Jersey? What can you advise them to do, or what can you advise them just to be aware of, to either help themselves heal or just to stop spreading or preventing to catch COVID?
My advice is, because you don't see on anybody's face, so you don't know. So all of us got to take precaution. Go with the hand washing. You got to do that continuously. I do hand sanitizer if I don't have if I can't wash my hand, I do hand sanitizer. And make sure you clean. You have Lysol. You clean the surfaces. They say don't stay on surfaces because I don't know where I got it from. So after I got tested positive, the precaution I took was desperate, because I was doing everything that with the bleach, with the Lysol, hand sanitizer, the mask, everything that I should do, I will do, and stay away from, because at that point I was even afraid of my own self. So because you never know. So I was afraid of my own self. So everybody got to take that precaution and listen to what the scientists telling us, because sometimes we just take things for granted, but this is serious. And Alima, I want to say sorry for your dad. I'm really sorry. Really, really sorry.
Thank you so much. The loss of my dad is something I definitely will never forget. Getting over it, it's really hard right now. But I'm using this now as a platform to help others. Sorry.
And I hope people understand, because it's not joke.
It's really not. So besides my dad, my older cousin, my uncles, my sister-in-law, losing all of them, I really want us to try to prevent losing anyone else, whether it's a quick information session like this, or just being present and giving the advice that yes, COVID is really real, and it is a fatal disease, but let's try to prevent it from being fatal. At any time during your illness, were you afraid? Were you worried?
The only time I was worried, it was at the beginning. The first day they called me to tell me I was positive, I was really worried. I got concerned, but then I said to myself, it's not a death sentence. I will just try to do whatever I can do. And with God's help, I'm here talking about it. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and we are grateful. I am so grateful that you are talking about it, that you're offering the hand to help others, especially now when the weather is warm outside. Everybody wants to go outside. Everyone wants to not wear their masks, and people want to gather. It's very important to continue to reiterate that this disease is still around. It's still present. So for us now, I guess the question would be now, are you like immune from COVID, or are you still continuing to protect yourself from reinfection?
Okay, I went, after they test me negative, I stayed for maybe 2-3 weeks and went for the antibody test. And it came back positive. But still, I got to protect myself, because you can not that you only get it for one time and then that's it. You can't get it again. So that's why I'm protecting myself the best way I could. And I even talk to the children. I say, listen, y'all got to be careful, because it's still out there. It's not over yet. is still out there because more people still die. So we got to be careful. That's it. We got to protect ourselves in any way we could. We have to do it.
Thank you so much. Wow. So reinfection is likely. So I plead to everyone, when you're going out there, please protect yourselves. If you're taking your children out there, please make sure they're wearing face coverings. I have young children, so I know it's very hard to keep it on them. Then I suggest them, perhaps it might not be the best idea to put them in an environment when they're at risk, or yourself. Please continue to wear your face coverings. The last program we had face coverings and the face masks to show you how to wear them. I plead to you to please use them. Question: is there any kind of face mask that you recommend for people to use that's probably a easier fit, and then as well as its protection is pretty good?
I just use the disposable. That's why I use. I try to use the cloth one, but then it's difficult for me to breathe with it. It's very thick, so I don't use it. I use the disposable mask.
Okay, so most people use the disposable face coverings. I know the last time we showed the mask, this is a cloth mask that can be made. And of course, you're putting it on ear loop, and your covered is going under your chin
and
covering your nose.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a cloth mask that can easily be made. And if you want to, just for extra protection, you put a carbon filter in it to help with covering, with protection. We thank you all for being a part of the program today. We had our guest speaker that survived COVID. She gave us information on her symptoms. She enlightened us that every single person is different with infection. Once you contract it, it takes a different toll on your body. It does not affect everyone the same. So everyone, please keep in mind, the symptoms someone else has, you may not have it, or you may have it, the same symptoms. So it's not just about checking your temperature, but let's just remember to just protect ourselves and wash our hands. The biggest thing is our hands. It's what we do with our hands after we touch something that might be contaminated. Wash your hands and sanitize. Is there any last thing you would like to say to the audience?
And another thing I wanted to say, because that was one of the symptoms I felt. At the beginning, I was not having any sense of smell. No sense of smell. That was one of my symptoms. So you just got to watch everybody know their body. Everybody know when things not right with you, to say, okay, when you don't feel your body right, you got to check to say, okay, let me find out what it is. So that's what I did. When I didn't feel right, I said, okay, let me check. Let me find out why I'm feeling this way. So if you know your body, how you feel yesterday, you don't feel it today. And with this COVID, you can't wait to say, okay, let me wait for the temperature. Maybe you're not going to have temperature. And the other thing is they're talking about asymptomatic. Some people, they don't have no symptoms at all, but they do carry it. So all those things, we got to look into it and say, okay, we got to protect ourselves in any way we could. So just like you said, the hand washing, the hand sanitizer, the protection, the social distancing, we got to listen to it and stay protected as much as we can.
Thank you. Again, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Willie Mina. Most people know me by Alima. Alan, it has been a pleasure to talk with all of you and give us all insight on what we can do better in prevention, what you can do to help you while you do have COVID. Home remedies, of course, help just to give you that energy and the strength to continue to battle the fight of COVID once you've contracted it. But always remember to moderate doses. Reach out to your physicians, let them know how you're feeling, whether it's urgent care, call the hospitals or the hotlines that they have. Please make sure you do that so that you are at least consulting medical professionals to help you with the fight of COVID. The home remedies that she used was ginger, turmeric, lime that she would boil and drink within a small teacup. So she knew her measurements that her body could handle. So everyone keep that in mind. You must know what your body can handle in order to not overdose and perhaps cause another situation for underlying health conditions. Please, our guest asked to be, anonymous, just because not everyone is aware of certain situations for everyone, but we always want to be helpful for others. So we thank her so much for being a part of the program today, for sharing her story. It has been very helpful, has been insightful, and we want to continue this segment just to help those that are either have contracted it, know someone that has contracted it, or helping to stop the spread. So please remember to continue washing your hands, remember to wear your face coverings, and remember social distancing. I understand it's warm outside. I understand you want to go out and get some fresh air, but please use your own personal spaces that you have within your homes, and be mindful that what affects you and it may not hurt you, but if you infect someone else, it may hurt that person. You never know how each and everybody's immune system is and how strong it is or how weak it is. So please keep that in mind. Everybody's body is different. Our immune systems are different and they can only tolerate certain things. So let's all be considerate of each other as a human race, and let's all take care of each other as a family. I thank you all for being a part of this program. We wish you all safety, and we wish you all peace, to find some sort of peace within this horrific time of COVID. For truly, we are in a time for togetherness. Thank you all so much for being a part of the program. Have a wonderful evening.